Coming up on No Pulp, we're going to take a swing at things in the baseball and softball landscape.
And we're taking on Chloe Smarz in the juicer tonight, Spencer. I don't think she's ready for what I got up my sleeve.
What do you got up your sleeve?
You're going to have to wait and find out.
All right, let's No Pulp, and it starts right now.
Sonny DeShero from Auburn. The freshman never win. The freshman never win championships.
Sharon May, you are an absolute square.
Cleveland the catch. Good if it goes. He hit it.
Wow, it's getting serious.
Frankly, I'm pretty embarrassed.
Bang!
All day life.
Welcome into No Pulp. I'm Spencer Pierce, joined with Ethan Frank. We are so excited to be here. Well, the MLB may be in the early stages of their season, but college baseball has been well underway for months now. The end goal is to get to the College Baseball World Series in Omaha, which, thanks to Peyton Manning, is the second reason the city is oh so famous. So, Ethan, we'll start in the conference where it just means more, and that's the SEC. Plenty of suitors, but only one ring.
That's right. This is a conference, Spencer, that has 5 of the top 6 teams in the country right now. You look at LSU, the number 1 team in the land, but a Vanderbilt team, I saw the Commodores in person, and I say they got pitching, they got hitting, they got power, they got speed. This is a team that can do it all. I would not be surprised if you see Tim Corbin's group in Omaha at the end of the season.
Well, you talked about a team that's got pitching and hitting. Let's take the number 1 team in the country that you also mentioned. That's the LSU Tigers. 4th in the country in team average at .332. I know people are saying batting average. It's not the whole big thing anymore. You want to look at on-base percentage. Who gives a flying hoot? Batting average is one of the best stats you can look at. They also are 18th in the country with a 3.8 ERA, and they're battle tested. They had a few losses earlier in the season, a few losses from mid-March to now. What better team to take than the number 1 team in the country?
I guess the thing about the SEC for me is, Spencer, are these teams going to beat each other up too much that by the time the NCAA tournament rolls around and you get to regionals and you get to super regionals and get to the College World Series, are these teams going to be worn out of playing with each other? And then they're going to be done. And then all the effort is going to be put into beating up on SEC competition, but you get to the big dance and there's no more fight left in it. So will the SEC be a good preparation for that, or will it be a wearing down phase?
I don't see it that way at all. I think you're going to hear me say this in the next few minutes. Iron sharpens iron, and what better way to do that than to play in the best conference? 7 teams in the top 25, 6 of them in the top 10. The last one is 11th. We're sorry. But iron's going to sharpen iron. I think that there's almost no way that an SEC team isn't vying for that championship.
All right, that's a pretty bold claim. But Spencer, let's go to the Atlantic Coast Conference, a league that has 3 teams in the top 10 compared to the SEC 6. So how good is the ACC compared to its southeastern counterparts? And which school do you think is the biggest threat to make a run to Omaha?
Well, I think a really important thing about the ACC this year is that you don't have your Duke and you don't have your UNC. Like, you do, but they're not as good as they once were. Another really interesting team this year is BC. Those Eagles, man, they're dangerous.
You a fan of Chestnut Hill?
I'm not saying I'm opposed to Chestnut Hill. 5 conference wins last year. They have 21 overall wins this year. They're on their pace for one of the best seasons, if not the best season, in program history.
I really like this Wake Forest team, though. Number 2 in the rankings. And this is a group that has a lot of really good pitching. You look at a guy like Seth Keener, that's someone that's going to go out and give you a really solid start every time he takes the bump. Got a lot of nice depth pieces in their lineup. I really, really like Wake Forest. And then North Carolina is a team ranked 13th right now that I think, is on the outside looking into the top 10, but has a really, really, really deep lineup. And I think the Tar Heels can make a really big impact as we get into May and June, coming out of the ACC as a team with a pedigree that can get to the promised land.
Right, I think it's really interesting too. Tar Heels, 13th in the nation on a down year, some would say. You think the ACC stacks up with the SEC?
I mean, 3 in the top 10 is not bad if you're the ACC, but the
how about 6 in the top 10 if you're
SEC's
the
got
SEC?
doubled that. Obviously, I think the SEC is better, but I don't think there's any question that the ACC is the second best league in the country right now and definitely has a chance to be able to get to Omaha.
All right, well, we're in for a good College Baseball World Series, and at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. Let's hop over to the other base round in sport, that obviously being softball. Oklahoma has become the Alabama football of softball. Since the 2020 season, they are 171 12 and have won 4 titles in 6 seasons. Ethan, are we past the point in just calling this a dynasty and just starting to name them the Evil Empire?
All right, well, I know you're a Yankee fan, Spencer, and they're the Evil Empire.
Already.
But I'm going to halt this dynasty talk because I think the word dynasty gets thrown around way too loosely nowadays. I understand 4 titles in 6 seasons, yada, yada, yada. Okay, you know what a dynasty is? It's the 60s Celtics.
Softball.
It's the 80s Lakers. It's the 90s Bulls. That's what a dynasty is. I need to see more from Oklahoma to be able to get them in dynasty talk.
I think that is an absolutely absurd take. They play in not a slouch of a conference, by the way, the Big 12. 3 teams with over 30 wins, which at this point is unbelievable. You look at a team like Oklahoma State, second in the country, obviously second in the Big 12 as well. I think that could make for a really, really interesting matchup later towards the season. They're actually the last series of the season. You know what they say in any sport. Hard to beat a team 3 times. How about this one? Hard to sweep a team at the end of the season.
It's really hard to sweep a team, especially at the end of the year. And that's one of your biggest rivals if you look at Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. So I do think the Cowboys have a chance of upsetting the Sooners and potentially taking something from their in-state rivals. But Oklahoma is very, very talented. I'm not going to say dynasty, but they are a very, very talented team that has a lot of pedigree. I just need to see this continued and sustained dominance.
All right, so let me ask you this question, right? 4 championships in 6 seasons. 5 championships in 6 seasons. Is that a dynasty?
No.
How about 6 championships in a row? How about that?
I think that'd be a dynasty, yes.
All right, so this guy's just moving the goalposts all over the place is what I'm hearing.
Spencer, but what about the Conference of Champions? UCLA, Washington, and Stanford have all had great years. So which Pac-12 school do you think has the best chance to take down Oklahoma? Plus, do you think the Pac-12 is the best conference in totality in all of college softball?
I do.
Wow.
Guess why?
Why?
Iron, say it with me.
Iron sharpens iron.
8 teams with over 24 wins up to this point in the season. I just talked about the Big 12. 3 teams with over 30. That's incredible. You're not getting that anywhere else in the country. But 8 teams with 24 wins or more. Sorry, Oregon State. You didn't make the cut. It's okay. Like I said.
You don't like the Beavers?
I mean, I'm not, like I said, same thing with Chestnut Hill. Not necessarily opposed, but they're not.
They're on the outside looking in right now.
I think when you ask the question of who can take down Oklahoma at this point, first of all, you're answering your whole dynasty question. You look at a team like UCLA, Stanford, or Washington, I think those are kind of your 3 that are poised to make that big run. But I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm all over the Oklahoma bandwagon. I know we're not talking about them anymore. I don't think you could put together a Pac-12 all-star team that beats Oklahoma at this point.
All right, I like UCLA. I understand the Bruins lost to Oklahoma 14-0 in 5 innings earlier this season.
But I still
like,
don't even count.
But
it's too cold out.
Exactly. That's why I like the Bruins to learn from that experience, get battle tested in the Pac-12, and then come out on the other side a better, stronger team moving into the postseason.
You're being sneaky. I don't like it. You're being
sneaky.
Yeah. All right. Well, now you know Oklahoma is a dynasty. Well, coming up, big bad Chloe Smarz looks to put our dear friend Ethan in the blender. That's right. It's the juicer, and it's going to get heated. Stick around.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow.
No.
Snow-covered trees.
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
I feel out of place. I don't like what's going on here. Spencer Pierce, Ethan Frank, and like we promised, the big bad Chloe Smarz. This is absurd to me. This is absurd. Chloe, if you take the Z out of your name, what's that spell?
Smart?
Are you? Or I meant to say if you put a T at the end.
I thought I'm a smart girl.
Well, I'm not very smart, am I? Ethan, if you take the T out your name, what do you have? E-hand. He's going to E-hand you this win, isn't he? We're going to go to the first question here. Like we said, we're talking baseball, we're talking softball. We're going to focus on a little bit of baseball first. The best hitter in college baseball is?
There's only one answer to this question, Spencer, and it is Matt Shaw from Maryland. This is a guy who won the Cape League MVP over the summer. You know what that is? That is the top collegiate baseball summer league where I got to witness firsthand this guy hit tanks, run around the bases, make sparkling defensive plays for your champion-born Braves. Hit a 507-foot home run the other week, hitting .347 with an 1115 OPS, 13 home runs, 23 extra base hits, 48 ribeye steaks so far this season. This is a guy who hits for contact, who hits for power, who drives guys in, who steals bases. He is an all-around player, a 5-tool hitter, the best one in the nation.
Got a lot of steaks, too.
Ethan, I'm going to take you down to SEC country in a little town of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, home of the Tigers and home of the #1 prospect in this coming up MLB draft, and that name is?
I don't know. I'm talking about Matt Shaw.
Dylan Cruz from LSU. I mean, his numbers are phenomenal to start off the year. I'm just going to give you a little .510 batting average on that's insane. Insane. A .645 on base percentage, 9 home runs, 11 doubles.
Oh, nine home runs. Matt Shaw had 13.
Cruz is one of the most complete hitters in college baseball, and you have to look at the fact that he's had only 16 strikeouts compared to 32 walks on the year. He has a walk rate of 26%, Ethan. That's almost unheard of in college baseball. And against good teams in the SEC, like Nick Lutro's #6 Arkansas, he had 3 multi-hit games. He went 8 for 13 in that series. He's the best in the SEC, best in the nation.
All I heard is that Matt Shaw hits for more power than Dylan Cruz. That's all I heard.
Well, the question, if you recall, was who's the best hitter in college baseball? And it wasn't who's the best power hitter, and it wasn't who is Ethan's best friend. Point awarded to Chloe on this one. So we got two sides of the ball. We got a little offense, we got a little defense. Let's talk about the man on the mound. The best pitcher in college baseball is?
Rhett Lauder from Wake Forest. He's big hair.
We were talking about the Deeks earlier.
Of course. Big hair and even bigger stuff, Ethan. You know why? Because he has a great fastball, a great slider, and he's the best changeup in all of college baseball. I think it's the most important pitch in baseball as well. To be able to throw hitters off balance, make them uncomfortable, that is what he does so well. He has control of that pitch so well. He can throw it on any corner to any batter, righty or lefty. And even though he had a little bit of an issue against Clemson, he had 7 strikeouts, only 6 hits. That game, though, he had command that entire game. They won that game 8-3. He's leading the best staff in the country. He has a 1.83 ERA. It's not the best number, but when you have a top 25 defense behind you, you can do anything in the circle, and that's what Lauder's done.
Well, I mean, maybe he should stop relying on his defense and start trying to punch some more guys out. But I'm going with Jaron Watts-Brown from Oklahoma State. I know he's only got a 3.3 ERA, but a 1.08 whip, and in 8 starts, he's thrown a 46 1/3 innings pitch. That's about 6 innings to start. And in college baseball, really in baseball in general, guys aren't going that deep into games anymore. So if you get a guy that's giving you 6 solid innings every time he goes out there with a 3.5 to 1 strikeout to walk ratio, that is really, really strong. Tied for 3rd in the nation in strikeouts, only allowed 3 home runs in 46 innings this year, and he was Matt Shaw's kryptonite with the Bourne Braves over the summer. So you know that's got to be good for something. So that's got to be good for something. I really like Jaron Watts-Brown, the Oklahoma State Cowboy.
I think the whole Cape Cod thing would have worked if Ethan was standing here and I was over here and I was trying to, play kiss up to you. It's not working for me. You can pitch 6 innings a game, but if you're giving up almost 4 runs a game, not great. Point 2.
Let's
awarded
go.
to Chloe.
3.3 is
Point
not
2.
close to 4.
That's still, I mean, you round up. You round up, right?
Oh, okay.
Let's go over to softball. And, we're up 2-0. We got the softball player here. Let's see the batting stance. What was your batting stance like? This was mine.
Listen.
Well, right now, Ethan's batting stance looks like a little bit of a hit and miss. Let's talk about the best hitter in college softball. Just let you guys duke it out.
All right, I'm going to start this one, and it is Victoria Cagle from Clemson. Let me
You
run
mean
you
Valerie
through.
Valerie Cagle, by the way?
Sorry, Valerie Cagle. Excuse me.
I got
Thank
you.
you. I really
you.
appreciate the help. Let me run you through. I'm just so excited to get to her. I'm so excited to get to her numbers. She's hitting .479 with an OPS over 1,500. 14 home runs, 27 extra base hits, 41 runs batted in. She has the 3rd most home runs in the entire country and the 5th highest batting average. She's only struck out 14 times in 119 at-bats. Played and started in all 41 of Clemson's games this season, a preseason All-American and All-ACC. She is one of the best, if not the best hitter in the country. And just wait until you hear more about what Valerie Cagle does.
I'm going to sauce you right now because the best
Get your
hitter
pants out.
in college softball is by far on the best team in college softball. You talked about them before. Oklahoma Boomer Sooner. Give me Jada Coleman, center
Dynasty.
fielder.
Not a dynasty.
She leads off this lineup that is All-American after All-American after All-American. And why is she so good, Ethan? Because she works from the left side. She can bunt for a single. She can slap for a single. She can slap for power. She also can give you 11 home runs on the year. And you talked about Val Cagle's stat lines. Jada Coleman, 7 strikeouts in the year on 97 at-bats. She also has an on-base percentage of .604. That is 4th best in the nation for an Oklahoma team that also run rules almost every team they play. She's leading a team for Oklahoma as most potent offense in the country.
It sounds like she just gets help from the people around her.
She
in the
leads
lineup.
off the team.
I mean, you are really
She's
opposed
getting
to
pitched
having
to.
a good team like around you. But I'm going to Ethan you. I actually saw Valerie Cagle when I was the CitrusTV softball reporter. That girl is something else. Point awarded to Mr. Ethan.
There we go.
This is a big one. You know what the last point is worth? It's worth 2.
Oh, God.
Let's talk about the best pitcher in college softball. Chloe, you got to make your case.
Montana Fouts, Alabama. If I had to make a lab and put together the most ideal physique for a Division I college
Probably
softball
look like
player,
me.
it would look like you,
All
but
right,
it also
thank
would
you.
look like.
It would also look like me.
It would look like Montana Fouts. She looks a lot similar to Jenny Finch, an Olympian and All-American at Arizona. Montana Fouts is 6'1", and why that matters so much in college softball is
It's
because
all you want to be?
well, I wish, Ethan. But when you can get to the front of that chalk of that pitching circle and you can consistently throw 75 miles an hour, that's an MLB over 100. That's for a hitter. You have a millisecond to decide whether or not you should swing at Montana Fouts' pitch. She's done it consistently for Alabama, leading the league with 213 strikeouts. She throws a nasty rise ball, a great changeup that she's developed this offseason that's helped Pat Murphy and company for the number 14 Alabama Roll Tide.
You're looking at me like you're arguing.
All right.
I'm not saying anything.
You know what Montana Fouts' ERA in the country? She's 37th. Guess who has the 3rd lowest ERA in the nation? Val Cagle. She is the Shohei Ohtani of college softball, maybe the best player in the entire nation. A .68 ERA, 18-3 win-loss record, and she's thrown 123 innings while also hitting in every single game this season. 24 appearances, 14 complete games, 134 strikeouts in those 123 innings. You know how many home runs she's allowed this season? One home run in 123 innings, over a 6-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Val Cagle doing this all while hitting. Think about how much work she has to do, hitting and pitching, and yet she still has a better ERA than Montana Fouts.
She's doing it in the ACC compared to an SEC league that's the best, one of the best in the nation. It always means more, Spencer. You know what I mean?
I mean, this is
Just
this
remember,
is a tough decision.
75 miles an hour consistently.
Just 'cause
That's
she
what
wants to
I
be
threw in
6'1".
high school, but that was baseball, guys. This was a really hard-fought battle. I can't lie. Let's all gather around here. But at the end of the day, when you present me with the Shohei Ohtani of softball, you know, you got Val Cagle, Shohei Ohtani, and Babe Ruth in the same room. You're not hitting, and you're not pitching. Those three got it covered. Ethan with the points and the victory. Chloe.
That hurts.
We'll drive you home later.
That really hurts.
You don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. Well, a whole lot of fun here, but we've got to travel right here to talkie a little hockey. We'll see you in a bit.
go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. You're gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Oh, no. Okay, quick. Oh, yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
Welcome back to No Pulp alongside Spencer Pierce. I'm Ethan Frank. And after I just took Chloe Smarz and educated her like no professor she's ever had, let's move on to a sport we haven't talked about yet. The Men's Ice Hockey National Championship happened over the weekend with Quinnipiac winning its first title in program history, 3-2 in OT over Minnesota. So Spencer, with another chip for our home state of Connecticut, what were your thoughts on the game and how it all unfolded on Saturday night?
Well, first of all, no one does it better than the Nutmeg State. You
That's
got
right.
two champions standing right here. It doesn't get better than that. My thought on this, college just does it better, man. You look at everything that we've talked about tonight, the College World Series, March Madness, college does it better. This might make a lot of people mad. Stanley Cup playoffs got nothing on the Frozen Four. This was excellent. This was excellent hockey. I'm not myself, not even a huge hockey fan, but I was on the edge of my seat, specifically during the Quinnipiac-Michigan game. That might come up in a little.
Yeah, and you look at this game, Minnesota's up 2-0 in the second period, and Quinnipiac scores with under 3 minutes to go on a power play. In the third period, the team pulls the goalie, so it's a 6-on-4 power play. Quinnipiac scores, and then scores 10 seconds into overtime, as you're seeing right here. Just an unbelievable turn of events from the team from Connecticut that captures the state's second national title in just about a week. But you think about Quinnipiac. This is a team that went to 3 Frozen Fours over the last 10 years. To finally get over a hump is huge for this Bobcats program.
And you know why they did it? Because the way to win a hockey game, especially in postseason play, your goalie has to stand on his head, and that's exactly what happened with Quinnipiac's play. This doesn't feel like a game that Quinnipiac necessarily won or Minnesota lost. I'm just happy we were able to watch an incredible game.
Yeah, and you know, Tampa just screams Frozen and Final Four. The state of Florida, Frozen, Frozen 4, hockey. I mean, that's everything you can watch.
Sunburn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is what it is. You got the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's enough for them down there. Well, we've got Glovegate in men's lacrosse. No, not Gary Gates' brother. Glovegate. Maryland Terrapins head coach John Tillman pointed out there was an equipment violation on the Ohio State Buckeyes, which granted Maryland possession late in the game. The game goes to overtime, and the Terps win. Ethan, how exactly did this decide the outcome, in your opinion?
This definitely decided the outcome. And you know, Spencer, you know, there's debate. Did John Tillman make the right move? Was this a little bit of a breaking of the unwritten rules by Maryland? And how should Ohio State have reacted? You know, my mom and my dad will be happy. This is, I've always been a rule follower. I follow the rules. That's why I've gotten to certain places. You know, that's why I've won some, golf tournaments. That's because I follow the rules. John Tillman followed the rules, and that is that you cannot have any sort of equipment mashup in any sort of your game. Gloves, stick, helmet, whatever it may be, that needs to be all checked out. Otherwise, it's a penalty, and it may not have affected the game when the penalty occurred, but mentally, Maryland was in Ohio State's head after that happened. So I give respect for John Tillman. He may have broken an unwritten rule, but he did not break a written rule, and that was to give his team a mental and sociological advantage, and it helped his team win a conference game.
I'm with you on that. I think at the beginning of this, I hated it so much, but I think I've come to respect it because of how much I hate it. They got a psychological advantage here, because when you really look at the game, if you really want to get into it, Ohio State had possession in overtime. If they score a goal in overtime and they win, are we talking about it on this show? Is national media talking about it and posting about it on Twitter?
Maybe, but the good thing about college lacrosse is that there are a lot more rivalries brewing. You look at the Big Ten, this has been a really good league this year. You got Maryland, Ohio State, Michigan, Johns Hopkins, Penn State, all playing really, really good lacrosse. And if these teams start to develop rivalries in lacrosse like they do football, I mean, that could be huge for the game of lacrosse.
Yeah, and lacrosse, like you said, growing sport across the country. And as college kids, right, I'm sure we can all agree, what more do you love than watching teams at other schools that you hate? What's better than hating a random school for no reason?
Nothing.
I can't tell you.
Literally
I think Georgetown
nothing.
couldn't tell you why.
All right, enough talk about gloves. We've got plays of the week and our final words to give out. No Pulp is back after this.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Hey there, I'm Spencer Pierce sitting at this lovely desk with Ethan Frank. It's everyone's favorite time of the week, and that is the play of the week. Personally, I didn't think too far out the box here, and I've got something that you may have already seen at this point. It's Quinnipiac, and it's Michigan, and this might be the most absurd goal that I have ever seen in my entire life. Like I said before, I'm not a huge hockey watcher, but look at this. Jacob Quillen goes off the back of the Michigan goalie, Eric Portillo. If you didn't see it, let's watch that closely again. Ready? Nope, that's a save. Boom! Off the back!
That was pretty impressive.
That was pretty impressive. It was also one of 2 times that it happened. The second time happened off the goalie skate. That's just bad luck, I think.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, Spencer. But how about Matt Shaw? I talked about him earlier in my win against Chloe Smarz in the Juicer. He hit his 40th career college home run on Friday night. Yes, not a crazy number. But Matt Shaw is a guy I've had the pleasure and honor to watch for the majority of 2 summers, and I've never watched a more exciting or hard-working baseball player. So I wanted to spotlight his accomplishments on this stage and say, congratulations, Matt. I'm looking forward to watching you the rest of the season when you're inevitably selected in this summer's MLB draft and into the professional ranks. He's a true joy to watch. Maryland also took a series from Big Ten rival Rutgers, by the way, a team that sports likes Chris Brito, Evan Slight, a lot of really good players on that Rutgers team. A big win for Maryland and a big personal accomplishment for Shaw.
I think I want to see that 504-foot home run that you were talking about.
Yeah, it was a
you were there at that one?
I was not there, but
right,
I was alerted from some boots on the ground that it went a long, long way.
This guy's got boots on the ground everywhere we go. Well, now it's time for our final word. Let's pay amateur golfers what they deserve. This weekend, 23-year-old Sam Bennett of Texas A&M played in the Masters, which is only the most famous golf tournament in the entire world. Not only did he play, he shot 2 under in an incredible performance, but he ain't making any dough from that if he wins. If Bennett did indeed win, the money that was supposed to be paid to him goes to the redistribution throughout the paychecks of all the other players in the field. With NIL taking over the collegiate landscape, it's only right that Bennett were to get paid if he had won. But that's not the case, and today, Bennett played in the 36-hole Aggie Invitational, where, get this, he had to carry his own bag. What do you think about that?
Well, as someone who's carried their own bag before, I can say that it's probably not fun after getting caddied around Augusta National Golf Club for the last week. But my final word is in regards to a game we talked about earlier, Minnesota and Quinnipiac in the NCAA title game. How is this a title game being played on ESPN2? I understand college hockey doesn't have the same reach as other sports, but we just saw what happened when the women's basketball Final Four and title games got put on bigger networks. Ratings went way up. Pretty simple. These young men have worked for hours upon hours to get put in this position, and the reward is not even getting on the main network. Come on, worldwide leader. Put these guys on ESPN. It's a title game, and one that went to overtime nonetheless. Do better, ESPN and NCAA. The men's soccer national title game was on ESPNU earlier this year. We need to do a better job of putting championship games on the main networks where people can watch.
Another really important part of that is that ESPN has a bajillion ESPN Plus channels. So there's really no excuse at this point to not put something a little bit smaller on one of those streaming platforms. But hey, That's all the pulp we were given tonight. Thanks for sticking with us all night. Follow us on our socials at CitrusTV Sports on Twitter and Instagram, or else. For Ethan, Frank, and Spencer Pierce, enjoy your night.